Yeah, no, he's not. His camera is not connected. That's why he can't come in. He's
Oh, your
there, but
camera.
he can't.
It says your
Uh,
camera's not connected, John. So that's why it's
Also,
not letting you
John
in.
Pace as well.
Okay. Anyway,
He
I'll
his
pick everybody up. And then
his the camera is not connected.
Wow.
Okay, we'll continue, and then I could email
Maybe you have to go
you
back and come back.
Hi.
that same
Hi.
link, and you could try your computer
Okay.
if you want. So let me email that to you as well.
You
Okay.
did
All right.
email from Peter Hayes.
Oh, I was looking from you. That's why I didn't see it. Okay.
Okay, I'll just hold on until I tell you get in.
Let me see. Peter.
Mhm. Okay, I don't know if it's my computer or not. I keep getting kicked out. Are you all experiencing any challenges?
Not
Yeah,
so
maybe
far.
close some of your windows, some of your tabs, or
Yeah.
restart
He didn't send
your
it to me.
computer if you have
Oh.
too many stuff on.
Peter,
Oh, wait. Let me go one more
say
place.
Peter Hayes.
Okay, can we get started?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, welcome everyone to our family reunion tonight. We're talking about our election peace pledge and our movement for peace. My name is Peter Hayes, chairman of the board for Global One, and we're excited. This is our fourth podcast. Every Wednesday, we've been having these with a diverse group of folks throughout the country. And the way this movement kind of started was myself and two other gentlemen were discussing probably 4 or 5 months ago that whoever won the election on November 5th, there would be potential for violence either the left or right. So we were very concerned. So we started putting this peace pledge together, and the idea is to get as many Americans to pledge that they will not be involved in political violence during the election or during a new administration, which should be a simple thing to do, and we shouldn't even have to do it. But we've seen over the last couple elections a lot of drama, and we last week we kind of talked about morphed into America. We are a family, and we really need a family reunion. Sometimes in families you have estranged brothers and sisters, but it's time now is to bring the family together, the United States family. If you want to mute John, it's feedback. Okay, so this movement started, and we've been working on it, so we're pretty excited. And so let's go ahead, and we have some great panelists today. We're going to talk about, what does the family reunion mean to you as far as bringing our country back together and healing some of the divisions, but also specifically, working towards November 5th and the elections that we have, vigorous debate and discussion, but we also have civil discourse. And obviously, we want people to pledge not to be involved in political violence. So, Cheryl, why don't you give a little comment and introduce your guests?
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a sore throat and my voice is a little deeper than usual. But thank you again for being here. This is my second time kind of joining in on this, and this was something that really spoke to my heart in terms of just how crazy it is and how people are, I don't know, already not respecting each other. And it's kind of like everybody has a megaphone and nobody's listening and everybody's just shouting out how they feel about the election. And I had somebody the other day just said, well, I'm going to tell everybody how I feel because, this is too important. And I said back to her, I said, well, how about a conversation with the people that maybe don't have the same viewpoint? I said, because if you just are yelling at people, telling them what they should think, You're not going to change a mind, right? That happens with the conversation. And we all should be able to respect each other and agree to disagree. So I love this movement. I did invite Elaine on here tonight. I've known Elaine now. I feel like I've known Elaine for a couple lifetimes, but I've actually only known her a short while. And she's really leaned in and has a huge heart for really helping people. I knew this was something that probably would speak to her as well. And again, we both have been saying, like, it just doesn't really matter who you're voting for. It does matter if we're kind to one another. And that kindness is why Elaine, I thought, was somebody who would really resonate with this. And so I'm really excited for her to be here and to share her heart a little bit around this issue as well. Elaine, I don't know if you want to share anything more about you and who you are with everyone, but again, grateful for you to show up and be a part of this.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And I'm still not sure where my place is in all this, but I'm anxious to learn more and do more. I've always said the motto, we all work for God. And so I definitely want to continue to do my part in society. And I also work the polls every election. And so that kind of concerns me as well, how things are going to pan out with people. I don't know. If I could spread the word or the message of what everybody is saying, just be kind, be nice, I'll do my part.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And Mama Joy, our stalwart, I labeled her the mama of our movement. So that's a great name. Once you kind of give us up to date, following up on the family reunion, which we kind of tweaked a little bit, what's your thoughts on that? And then you can introduce your guest as well.
Oh, she's on mute.
Yes, I am on mute. Hi, everybody. Oh, wow. I'm excited. And I'm just grateful just for the conversation. What American Family Reunion means to me, well, that's the phrase that we're just growing and developing with this idea until we can find ourselves, in a comfortable place, Elaine, where we can have a conversation regardless of whose side we voting on or not voting at all. But we all are here as Americans, and our families are very important to us. And right now, Sharon, I feel like families are very important to us. And last time I was on, Brother Norm was there, and he said, we got to find something that we can agree on. So we know there's a challenge for us here. And as I have known Peter for some family reunions to be disastrous because everybody don't agree. And but I wish that that wasn't the case all the time. But I believe that, as far as I'm concerned, it seems as though as Americans we all have been isolated and segregated from each other. And even though we're all Americans, we have not seem to, but have developed in our own unique ways and in this country, and not really be at one with each other until there's a battle. When a war comes or whatever, then for some reason, black, white, red, brown, yellow, doesn't matter. We go at it. But it's always when those kind of things. And right now, we are being faced with the reality that it's not just war, but it's in peace times, not in times that we're hiding from each other. But what is the cost for us to just come together as one family, as Elaine said, under God, regardless of how you may serve God? It does not excuse or not excuse the world, or dismiss the fact that there's only one creator. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of us having enough peace in ourselves. I really feel that a family reunion comes with the beginning understanding that whatever discord, we have to begin with ourselves, because how we handle ourselves in this renewing and reunionizing, it depends on how well we're established ourselves as who we are in God, and the objective of bringing some healing to this nation. Because I can see us, Elaine, look like you about the youngest, you and Cyron, the youngest in here. But we could see that our children and our country is really not as it should. It's suffering. And so this is an election year, election season. And whatever we can do, ideas that we can come up to be at peace ourselves in the midst of however where these waters go. Very important that we know that we're in a new era. This is a reunion that has never taken place before. And then when this election is over, it's going to take us sure enough into a new day. And regardless of who wins, it's going to be a new day. And so these kind of conversations, I pray they'll be all over. I feel that this is the beginning of a reunion. I've never met you, but you're family to me. How about that? And if we could start off this way, and hopefully that we can encourage others to have this kind of conversations, it's something that we cannot excuse ourselves from, because the next generation needs some kind of solid grounds to understand that they have a responsibility to this country, and the legacy of it has to go on, not just as the forefathers saw it, but as God within us see fit for us to do. Is that about right?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And my guest is Mr. Theron Smith from Gary, Indiana, not too far from Michael Jackson. They took me on the tour the other day. He has a beautiful wife who is amazing, and we can call her on too to tell her own story. She's a very spiritual person and a true artist. But this is his night with us. Mr. Theron has an extensive, he's a 13-year veteran in the Navy, and he has a national organization called the National Block Club University, where education is done. And I love the 7 days of a week. He can describe that to you, where when young people come in, they actually help to bring the peace. So he involves young people, businesses throughout the country, and he could tell you more about him. I've known Mr. Theron for a number of years, and he has a very close connection with Africa, and I really admire him, and just wanted him to come face to face with another avenue, meeting you all, because this is what it's all about. This is all what it's all about, to dialogue and express, and to see what it is that we can do to make this country what it is and viable for all. And I have Reverend Janine Ingram on the line. She's an author. Oh, you know what? I can get to Saron. Saron, go and tell him about yourself. Enough. I'll get to Janine.
I think you did a great job. Thank you guys for allowing me this platform to be here. I do have to say, Mama Joy know what I do and my position on the global aspects of how the world is operating. So it may get a little contentious because I do have a strategic way of looking at the way the world is set up right now, and it can hurt a lot of feelings and ruffle feathers. But I think it has to be done. Anything less of that, we're kidding ourselves. So I temper how I go based on how this conversation goes. But I'm pretty much clear on what needs to be done from my vantage point to make this world better.
Okay, very good. Janine, are you on? Thank you, Saron. That he is that way, but he's honest and true, and that's I want you to be that way. I want you to be comfortable with that, because everyone must be heard. We got to be able to do that. All right, well, here I have Reverend Janine Ingram. She's from Chicago. I believe she's born and bred here in Chicago. She's an author of a book, Born to Be Rich. She's a motivational speaker, and she's a mother of 3 dynamic children. Oh, Saran, I forgot your wife, Jamaica, and your daughter. He's a father too. So Janine, you'd like to, did you understand what it is that we're talking about?
No, so tell me what we're talking about so I can make sure that I make an intelligent conversation here.
Well, the question on the table is, well, the theme is America's family reunion. And so we're having a discussion as what it is that we feel that we can do to bring a table of agreement on how to bring peace where we are into our nation and to grow.
That's an interesting conversation. And first, I want to say thank you for allowing me to have my input. As soon as you asked that question, you know what I went to when we went to South Korea for the World Peace Summit? And one of the things that I recognize is that 99% it was men. I think we need to have women at the table to bring peace. And I think love needs to be sitting at the table as well. And I don't say that lightly because, you know, we have this idea that love is this weak. But, you know, when I say love, I'm talking about the ability to not be triggered because someone doesn't think the way we think. The idea that someone has a different opinion than ours, welcome those opinions, and then let's put them on the table and let's really dig deep in those things and see how we can create an opportunity to translate that into world peace, world love, or whatever. But I think we can never get to the solution because we're too triggered by our own emotional process. So to me, if I was to say, what do we need to do? We first need to heal whatever triggers are ourselves so that we can welcome a different perspective without being triggered. Welcome a different thought process without being triggered. Welcome someone saying what they need to say with respect, and allowing that person to have their own thought process. And then now let's put all this together to see what's really going to work. And not from an ego perspective, but from a place of our heart, consulting whatever creator we believe in, because whether we call it this name or that name or this name, it's only one truth. And I remember my grandmother used to say this all the time when I was growing up. My grandmother used to tell us that truth elevates the soul and illumines the mind. So when we start operating in a place where we allow truth to elevate our soul and illumine our mind, we're having an opportunity to have a real conversation without being triggered and wanting to hang up the phone because I don't believe this or that, or because you believe in Kamala, I believe in Trump, or vice versa, or whatever issues that keep us from hearing. Because soon as you don't believe what I believe, then guess what? I shut down my hearing. I'm not going to listen. I'm just listening to speak and not listening in my heart to hear how we can come to a solution. And so when I believe that once we can heal our triggers, then we can come together collectively, because collectively is how we're going to actually create the solutions. But we can't do that until we get to a point where we can get past our own egos. That's my opinion.
Well said.
So we're talking about.
All right.
Okay, we're saying we're talking about America's family reunion, especially the election peace pledge. Hopefully, you guys have seen the peace pledge. If not, we welcome you to sign it and help promote it. Let's hear from John Morris, and then we'll go back with some deeper questions. John is the founder, one of the founders of Global One. John, what do you think about this theme, America's family reunion, and then the need for the election peace pledge movement? I think you're on mute.
Is that it? Good. Can you hear me then?
Yeah.
Okay. I think everything that's been said so far is not only eloquent, but it's like the seed of what obviously could and should be out there all over the country at this time. We've got around 350 million Americans out there, all of them our brothers and sisters. We've also got 8 billion precious brothers and sisters all over the planet. 60 countries this year are voting. About half the world's population is making choices in this 1 year, critical year. I follow the international scene, as I understand Cy does, and some of you others perhaps are also looking at the international scene. And when we look at what's going on, we can see in some countries where people have done what Mama Joy, you alluded to, and what you, Janina, are also speaking about the ego, past that, moving past that, and moving into a situation in which we can really genuinely come back to see ourselves as a seed that counts, because we are all children of God. Starting from that perspective, it just seems to me that right now, what's happening, even in this little seed of what's this particular program that's been put out by the America's Family Reunion, this is the sort of thing that, once again, has the potential to be, even in these last 2 months or so prior to our election, has the potential, I think, to make a massive, massive impact when more and more people can come to this seed, make that into the tree, and then collectively make this into a sort of a forest of saying, yes, I'm all about this idea that no matter what the outcome of this election, if people vote, I'm going to respect their vote. I'm going to offer up what Cheryl is often talking about. Use the kindness that's in your heart. She has a program called Kitchen Table Conversations. Use the forum of what we can do with our families in our own homes. And then as a consequence of that, speak to our neighbors. One of the things that Global One does is we encourage people to always see themselves as a seed, and in so doing, being like a parent that has 2 children. And those 2 children, when they have their 2 children, it means that from the children to the grandchildren to the great-grandchildren, one single person doing that 20 times, 2 to the 4 to the 8, can make a difference in 1 million people's lives. So doing that just 20 times out. So the idea of what's being spoken about here, it seems to me, the real wonder of this is that when we speak to our neighbors, we speak from our hearts. We speak with that good and godly idea that I'm going to respect whatever outcome you have. I'm also signing on to the pledge, obviously, that I support no violence whatsoever, that the outcome of the election can be one of respect, can be one of seeing us come out of this as a family of Americans. At the same time, in the other countries where it's going on, and where it's going on successfully, they've had very super peaceful elections. Taiwan was the first. They had no violence. Everything was sorted out within 2 hours after the election. This was way back in January, in the first week, basically of January, compared to some of the other elections that have taken place in other countries. America has to stand tall, because America is still something that the world takes note of. Sometimes a little bit in a sort of a derisive way, but for the most part, America is noticed by the entire world. So it behooves all of us, it seems to me, that we make that point, that this is an election that can get behind the spirit of America's Family Reunion, the program that's being sponsored here now, as a seed, and that can, as I say, manifest itself all over the country, but can be also a real, genuine statement to the world that this is what America is all about. It can have safe and free, and at the same time, very, very positive, respectful type outcomes in their elections, and then be that example to the rest of humanity. Those are my thoughts. So thank you all for everything that's been stated so far. I'm amazed, actually, at the depth at which you're hitting all of the nails on the head that others, I think, are probably going to take note of when they see this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. And Sarah, how do you pronounce your name? Sorry, I missed it at the beginning.
Was it John?
No, Ciron?
Oh, Cyron.
Just Cy. Yeah, just Cy. Yeah. Cy is better.
Well, pleasure to meet you. First of all, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and Mama Joy gave us a little of your resume. You would run for office in Fort Wayne. What are you doing with your club? Is that Block Watch program that you're doing? What exactly? Tell us about that program.
It's the National Block Club University, but the the purpose of it, I served in the U.S. Navy. I was on a ship of 3,000 people, and 2 people worked directly for the captain. I was one of the 2 people. So I had time, unlike the rest of the crew who had to really do work. My job was to serve the captain. So I had time when it wasn't time to serve to analyze what I was seeing on this ship. And what I saw was that every single person had a role to play. And there was someone in the older echelon, closer to retirement for every position, someone in their prime for every position, and then someone like me, a 19-year-old fresh out of boot camp, who's there ultimately to grow into that near retirement person in that specific job. And, you know, God put that in my spirit then that we need to have, in this case, the Black community organized the same way. So we have our retirees, our adults, and our youth for every profession, nurses, teachers, doctors, lawyers, you name it. Where are the retirees so we can make sure that their knowledge and experiences passed down? And where are the young people so we can give them some leadership and some support to grow into that position. So that's essentially what we do. The way we do it is kind of unique, and that's probably another discussion, but just know that we do it by zip code, and zip codes are tied to everything around the world. So one zip code in Chicago is linked to a different city, a different profession, a different country in Africa, and one of the G20 member countries as well.
Wow. Awesome.
So that's kind of how we structured it, so we can make sure we're touching, you know, from a global perspective.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Cheryl, what's your thoughts on that? And we're talking one thing, organizing communities and, you know, bringing that, you know, when you think about, well, individuals, well, we next step up is a family and then community. So, you know, all of us involved in one of those 3 levels.
Mm-hmm.
See if my voice holds out here. Yeah, so I love all of this. And by the way, I think just so much of what was said, I know Janine kind of dropped off here. I don't know if she can hear, but I really loved what she said about the fact that people's egos kind of sit in the middle of this and we don't hear each other as a result of that. And I think that's one of the greatest challenges, right? Like we know that we're different, but we don't always embrace those differences. And if we can learn to do that, that's by setting our egos to the side and stepping into it. You know, John mentioned this, and Peter, you're right. Like for me, it's always been about the family, right? Because, you know, and I always say that ripples don't flow in, they flow out. And if we really want to see change out in our world, it's going to start with in our own homes, with our own families, first and foremost. What happens around that kitchen table, you know, maybe is only 1 hour a week, but it has everything to do with what it is we do when we leave that table and how it is we walk out and show up in the world. And so, you know, that's a healing piece that I think, and of course, then the next layer of that is our neighborhoods, and then it goes to our communities, right? That's how ripples flow. That's how we see change. And it starts with us, and it's not out here that we think, oh, whatever's happening out here is impacting us. No, we get to choose with our own families how it is we are going to respond to things. And so my work, my heart has always been, and this is why I love Global One, because it's so much about family, is that if we can get back to understanding that where that ripple really starts, then we can actually change the world. But it starts with us. And I think that's what this peace pledge is about, is what can we sign, right, that actually makes that difference, where we're stepping up, and it's a little thing. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a little thing that I can do that say, hey, I'm on board, that, you know, I'm going to respect the person next to me who has a different opinion. I might not understand it, but I don't have to. I can still love that person. And, you know, and so anyway, but you're right, family reunion, sometimes it's tough. The hardest people sometimes to love is our own family, especially when there's disagreements. So anyway, I think all this is beautiful, and I'm excited. I'd love to learn more, Sai, about what you're doing, because that sounds really intriguing. But I do love the depth of what's been shared here tonight, because you know, Jeannie's kind of like, what are we talking about? And then like she just spewed out this beautiful, you know, heartfelt, you know, description of she. I mean, it's like she knew exactly what needed to be said, and I think that's not a small thing, and not by accident. So anyway, and Mama Joy, I love your energy, so I'm super excited to spend more time with you. And I already know Elaine, I know I'm going to get to spend more time with Elaine. So anyway, but thank you, for all of you being on here tonight. I'm really excited to see where this all gets to go. So.
Yeah, Mama Joy.
Wow. I love what you just said.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Jean.
I was just saying, I love what she just said. And if you don't mind, I'd like to speak to some things I think about that we need to think about when building a community. I think the foundation of community comes from family. And I think when we get back to acknowledging how do we build family, then because family is the nucleus of the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to think about some elements when we're thinking about community: empathy and understanding. Do we really truly listen and understand the needs and the perspective of others in our community to create a foundation of trust and respect? Collaboration. Do we work together with others to identify a common ground and collaborate with these people to understand what the community needs together in a collaboration? I think that's important. So empathy, understanding, collaboration, active participation. A lot of people want to talk about something, but then they don't want to bring action and do something about it. It's easy to complain about something, but are we going to walk where we talk? Are we going to do something and be an active participant in making a difference and impact in our community? And how we do that is taking action, not just talking about a problem all the time, but saying, okay, like my 501c3 is called the Love Journey. We have love ambassadors that take over each block and they pray over that block. They bring peace to that block. What do the children on that particular block need? And then we come together with the love ambassadors and talk about how we can support and give resources to whatever they need. I give you an example. I walked up on my home one day, and I've lived in my house for a long time. And so this young man was sitting on the porch and he was smoking weed. And I'm thinking, wonder why this guy I didn't realize that he grew up on the block because I didn't recognize him. And when I walked up, I said, what is going on? Why are you sitting on my stairs smoking marijuana? And he said to me, I just wanted to wait for you and your husband because I wanted to tell you I grew up on this block. I watched your husband. I watched you. And you all presented such a great family environment. And I'm homeless right now and I don't have a place to stay. And I always wanted to one day have a family. And I just wanted to come. So I said, okay, I'm going to ask you to, put your marijuana down and let's pray. So we prayed. He told me he was homeless. So I took him to a place in one of the buildings and I put an air mattress up. And then I got him ready to go to CDL school. And now today he's in CDL school. Now he's driving a truck and now he works for Pepsi. And now he's making a difference in his community because somebody cared enough to make a difference. And so those are the kind of things that we see. My children are mine, but also your children are mine. I could have easily got offended and said to him, get off my porch, don't be smoking the weed, because I don't smoke, I don't drink. Why are you on? But I walked and said, well, what's going on? Why are you on my porch smoking marijuana? And he said, oh, ma'am, I apologize. And then, well, what's going on? And then I listened to what he was saying and also what he wasn't saying. And I realized he just needed some love, some support and understanding and direction. But what if I had ignored him? He probably would end up in jail. So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking that we need to do in collaboration in our community and really hear the needs of our young people. I think what's going on is that we don't actively listen to young people. Martin Luther King said rioting is the language of the unheard. And so we see violence, we see rioting, and we see all these things. But I believe rioting, violence is also the language of the unheard, because I don't know how to articulate the words I need to say for you to hear me. So I create violence. I create disharmony. And I think as people, we need to learn to listen more. Listening, collaboration, education, inclusivity and equity and sustainability. And I won't go too much more because I'm going to give somebody else the opportunity to talk. But those are some of my things that I think help make a community. The senior next door, I check on every day. I go to the store for her. Even if she doesn't ask, I'm going to go get her some food. And if I get some things that I think she may need, I'm going to pick it up. Or if I go to the garden and get some tomatoes, I'm going to stop by her and drop some off too. She doesn't have to ask. And if I don't hear from her for a couple of days, I'm knocking on her door. I haven't heard you. Are you okay? So it's just some of my thoughts when we build in community. I just think about when I was a little girl, how my grandmother sat on the porch, but my grandmother prayed over the block, sitting on that porch on her. My grandmother was a praying grandma. My granddaddy and grandma sat on that porch and they prayed. If something was going on, guess who was going to make sure that peace or harmony was going to be? It was going to be my grandma, the elders on the block.
Yeah.
And we didn't disrespect our elders.
Nope.
So I just think we've gotten to a point where we disconnected ourselves from our seniors and we don't listen to our youth. And as long as that's happening, the community cannot happen. So I'm complete. I'm going to go ahead and let somebody else talk.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I kind of your program, and we started a Man Up program here in Louisville, similar, bringing the older, middle class, and the younger together. So, and that's really what you see in a family. If you have, 4 grandparents, 2 parents, and a child, that child's going to have a lot of love and support. So that's interesting that when you were on that boat, you came to that conclusion, and that's a great analysis. Many other cultures do respect their elders, naturally, and we've gotten out of that in a way in America. What's your thoughts on what Jen just said as well?
But no, I know Janine well, and she's a heaven sent. So I thank God for her and everything that she does. Here's what I think though, and I gotta let you guys know, when I hear the term America, I cringe a little bit, just so you guys know, because I kind of see it as part of an imperialist perspective. Because what do the people in Brazil or they're in North America? I mean, they're in South America. We're in North America, but we get to hold the title and no one else gets to use it. So if we say the United States, that's different, U.S. But when I hear America, I just see it as part of just taking over and controlling someone else's narrative, so no one else can use it. So I know what we mean by that, but I just want you guys to hear that angle from when we say Americans. Mexicans are Americans too, but they're Mexican, so we the only ones that get to use it. Anyway, the other piece is, as 8 billion people in the human race, I do think that before we really push peace, we have to acknowledge the injuries that have taken place and then do something to repair those injuries. So if I take something from you and then keep it and just say, let's have peace, there really can't be any peace. It's peace for you that I'm not giving you retribution, but is it really peace when I'm troubled that you took something from me? So I do think we at least have to acknowledge the injury that is preventing us from having peace and seek to repair, have some repair for those injustices that have taken place. So my view with this election, either way, no matter how it comes out, I know the Black community in particular has been injured, it's been ignored, and it's been asked to gloss over that injury. And to me, you're not going to see that. In Chicago in particular, the north side of Chicago, which is typically the strongest area, for years, they've ignored the cries of the west side and the south side. The violence been wreaking havoc there for 50 years. And so when you ignore something, it's only a matter of time before it spreads. And right now, as we speak, there's not a place in the city that you can go and you're going to have nonviolence. And it's because we ignored that injury that is spread now. So I do think we got to factor that in, that we can't just gloss over something. And peace isn't just nonviolence. If I'm starving and I'm hungry, I'm not at peace. So you might not have violence taking place around you. So to you, that's peace, but that ain't peace for me. I'm hungry. I don't have a place to stay. So I do think we got to really, put some, texture around the terminology when we say peace. So that's my thoughts so far.
Yeah, I love that sign. Elaine, since you're somewhat new, we'll throw you in the fire. What's your thoughts on what you've heard? And love to hear your insights.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's a lot. with, I don't know, I guess I kind of go on the deeper end of spirituality too, because the world, at the end of the day, there's no room for God anywhere anymore. We all know that. And so when there is no love in our homes, we all know it starts at home, but our homes are so broken. And so to have peace with this next election, I know promoting peace, but when you have your home, like Leave It to Beaver days, Wally Cleaver and Beaver, Dad was always in charge. Dad was always the one that set the rules, set the stage. You respected Mom and Dad. There is no respect. And when I just think in order for us to ever have peace, God is going to make some thunderous noise before we could ever have peace. And I think what we're doing now, our efforts now, is preparing for what is to come. Because now everything's so broken. And I'm not saying it's a lost cause, but I'm saying our efforts now, I feel that we are here together as a family, as Mama Joy, as my sister Cheryl, Brother John and Peter and Sai. I just feel we're supposed to be here for a bigger purpose, for a bigger reason. Because I don't know where my place is at the moment, but I know I'm supposed to be here for whatever reason. I know I should have been dead a long time ago, but I'm here. And so, I would love for everything just to be in a better place to be, but there's no harmony, there's no balance, there's no yin, there's no yang, there's no God, there's no love. Until we have, our life wasn't supposed to be this complicated or this difficult or to be so hard. What happened to the days where we could just go outside and play kick the can until the street lights came on, or pickle football? We just can't do that. The technology has overcome the minds and have corrupted. You look on the platform, the social media, and already it's like, well, so-and-so, which one do you think is better? This one or this one? Do you think she is going to be the next, whatever? And it's like, already it's like, what are we in third grade? We're supposed to be adults just talking like adults, but we're fighting like we're in high school. I don't know. That's me.
Elaine, can I jump in here, you guys?
Sorry, did I start something?
I thank God. I thank God for you. That's what I do. I thank God for you and your perspective. I needed to hear that. So I thank you for that. I would say this though. I really believe, and this goes against conventional wisdom. I worked in Sears Town, and on Mondays, everyone would come in grumpy, and I would say, "It's Monday." I said, "Monday is the best day of the week," and they said I was crazy. And I told them, Monday is a fresh start, new beginning. You get to set the direction for the rest of the week. So I'm gonna do that now to you, Elaine. I would say right now we're living in some of the best times.
That I agree.
You say you do. You do agree
with that? Yes.
Yeah. What I am on guard for is the devil is the great deceiver, and so the deceiving is to make us feel like things are worse than they really are. If we go back, there were times when women were being raped in front of their husbands. You may have one-offs, but that was commonplace. It was literally all over the place. We don't have that no more. We have right now this ability to support each other globally now. Before it was in the hands of a few people. We have that now. We unfortunately have some people who are in control structurally, And those people are unrepentant. They're the same ones who are the descendants of people who also got rich off of things they shouldn't have been doing. So we have a 1% problem, if you will, but the masses, we have interracial marriages that we couldn't have legally. So those are better things. We got people literally right now who, like Janine just said, who's doing good stuff, but you won't hear about it on the news because the news makes money off of, you know, sensationalizing things. So I would say, Elaine, things are much better than they were, but there's some few things that we got to tweak in order for us to see that manifestation of it, because there's profit in seeing people divided. There's profit in the pain and suffering of others, but the profit is only for those small elite groups. And California has to be held to account because they control what we see and hear. Northern California controls the algorithms and the things we are able to put forth. So there has to be some accountability to that injury that they've caused with the global view of the United States of America.
Beautiful. Well, let's hear from John, and then we're going to have Mama Joy wrap us up.
Mm-hmm. I think, first and foremost, the potpourri of voices, the real, genuine, artistic, and I think very, very insightful observations that's been put forth tonight. This is really something of the very best of what America is actually all about. I came from Australia, you know, I've been in the country now for a long time, but I'm an immigrant, if you wish. At the same time, I love this country for what it actually can do. For all of its issues and things like that, all the challenges, it is still the world. I've lived or worked or traveled in about 90 countries over nearly 60 years now, and seen a part of everything I've seen out there here in America. America, for all of its issues, still is, I think, a beacon of hope to significant numbers of people all over the world. And right now, even with a program like this, with the upcoming election, the idea of putting your pen to a paper and saying, I'm signing on because I have this heart, I have this dream that this is the very best of what America can offer to the world after our election. Not a lot of divisiveness and so on, but a respectful way and means in which we can say, yes, I support this idea of no violence. I stand up for that. And quite frankly, I believe that the very, very vast majority of Americans, the vast majority, are actually more in line with that sort of thing. The sort of things that we're getting many times out there is to think that a few very loud voices, a few very rather sometimes intimidating or rather seducing type voices that are promoting violence or promoting anger and so on and so forth, one group against the other. They are, in actual fact, in my view, as I look at it again, about 350 million Americans, I think that they are actually more in the minority rather than, as one might tend to think, is in the majority. Now, that's what I would encourage everybody to think in terms of that. If we look at things as problems, rather than see, okay, there's a problem. Now that we know what it is, I choose to see this from a different perspective and see it, in my view, as opportunity. And then I choose to make sure that that's what's propagated through me. And again, using that 2 to the 4 to the 8 to the 16, to be an agent and an angel of good and goodness every day by promoting that type of thing to whoever I meet and encouraging them to do the same thing. That's the greatness, I feel, of what we're living in with all of the ideas that are out there. So again, Elaine, I hear your voice because it's also a voice that still is there and still very, very real with some people in the country right now. But I do believe still that the goodness of America is still that it is still a good and godly country at its core, and that it can find itself again, and particularly with an initiative like this. Sign on, join the group. Make sure you become one of those head turners that says, I choose to promote nonviolence and to respect nonviolence and be a voice for that message of nonviolence. All in that that grouping of those who I have an influence on, whether it's family, neighbors, whether it's within the workplace, whether it's in the day-to-day activities of association and so on and so forth. So a small little group like this can, I believe, have that massive impact as we get more and more and more hopeful, real steam from people waking up that this is there. Oh, they're doing that. I like what that's happening there. It seems to me that that's the message that can come from each of the voices that have been spoken about here tonight. I congratulate everybody, by the way, with all of your insights for this. Very, very, very important. Much more beyond anything at all that I think any one of us here could see. And the last thing that I would like to say is that I believe that over and above everything else, God is still in charge. All I have to do is to take one deep breath, close my eyes, and ask my heart and lungs, what's doing the heart and lungs? Am I having to generate all of that energy, or is something else doing that? And when I realized with my eyes closed and taking that deep breath, God is breathing me. I am being breathed, breathing me, being breathed. I'm actually living in that milieu of God's goodness, of God's breath. And guess what? All those other 8 billion precious brothers and sisters out there on the planet, I am breathing the same air as what they are with me. So we have more in common than what we have absolutely as difference. And here is where I think in that common ground, we have the potential to do something that really is good and great and godly in making a difference with this pledge of nonviolence at this election. Again, thank you, everybody, for all of your efforts here with what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Janine, you're back. Once you give some remarks, and we're going to have Mama Joy close us out.
I was sitting here and I was listening to all the comments. And first, I want to give my brother Sty some love. I love the work he does. And I just want to say thank you for the platform and the conversation. I just want to make sure that we understand if we want to see the change, and I know it sounds cliche, but we got to be the change. If I say there's no love, there's no God, then I have to be the God. I have to be the love. And I think that sometimes we forget how powerful love is. When you walk in a room and you are the embodiment of God and love, you transform and become an alchemist, and you move the spirit in the room. And I'll give you an example. It was a restaurant that I was taking when I was working as an executive director for Chicago Housing Authority, and I took my team to this particular restaurant. And I took them there because one of the ladies was a lady who grew up in the projects, and now she owned this particular restaurant. So I wanted to support her business. But her daughter was, they said had a bad attitude. So when I walked in, I said, hey, girl, blah, blah, blah. And I gave her energy. And so when we got all our food, all the people said, man, she never treat us like that. She always rude and blah, blah, blah. But the reason why I believe she didn't treat me that way is because I didn't meet energy with energy. I met her energy with love. And transformed her energy into a way that I affected how the environment worked, because I walked in as the embodiment of love. And I said, so if we want to see the change, we first got to change ourselves, our mental capacity to believe and know that and walk in the authority of who we are as we are, no matter what we call the creator that we believe in. We first got to understand that we have to be the embodiment of that creation to affect change. Because we've been given an authority that we don't access because we always trying to fix the mirror and not ourselves. That's what I would like to leave this conversation with, because if we want to affect change in our environment, it first has to really begin with us. Because I sit at too many tables talking about nonviolence, and we sitting up here and they arguing and violently arguing, and we supposed to be about peace. How can we talk about nonviolence and you are so unpeaceful and disharmony because somebody don't agree? Mm-hmm. And so how can we come to a solution? And so I'm grateful for a platform like this where we can have this conversation, but with solutions. And so I just want to say thank you. I'm complete. I'm going to pass it over to Joy.
Thank you.
That's my daughter. That's my baby. I just want to thank you, Janine, for saying yes. You, Sai, for saying yes when we invited you. and for all of you who are present here. And on that note, those words that Janine spoke of as authority, I was thinking to myself as Brother John was speaking, I said to you, just think about it. Who are we? Who are we? Because all of us said yes. Because believe it or not, even you, Elaine, you and we are preparing to walk in our divine authority.
Amen.
You're here because that is what you have been doing. But you've been doing it solo. Now I know Cyron, he's all over the United States. His concentration has been on my people, my community. And I want that to expand, as Janine spoke when she went to Korea. The world is in need of people knowing who they are. There's only one God. There's only one creator. And we are the evidence of that creator. Because the creator is spirit. And how do we know that there is? Because we are here. And everything that we have done, it has come from our heart. We've created things that have not been done before. And I've experienced the same kind of things, Janine, as you. But it came to me so easily. I was doing this even as a child. I just thought everybody was doing stuff like this. I could fix anything. My mom said, how you do that? I don't understand. Fans breaking and I'm taking 100 pieces to fix it and put it back together again. I'm 6 years old. How can you do that? No problem, Mama. Sharon, you were placed on that ship to observe. That was a divine appointment. Because when you left that ship, you left with the authority of the United States Navy strategy to serve your people. And Elaine, yeah, you're pulling out your hair and going through all these kind of changes, but my sweetheart, when Saran pulled you out, you start beaming. Because things look crazy and you may be acting like it's going crazy, but within yourself, you know there's joy that no one can take away from you. And no matter what goes on, you wake up some morning and say, oh no, I was mad as a dickens yesterday. God dog it, and man, I'm feeling good. And Cheryl, I just want to tell you that I'm looking at your name, and my sister's name was Cheryl. She was my baby sister. She passed when she was 47. So whenever I see that name, I know that spirit is in the house. And then you've got a family there. So you have the words family on a vertical position going up, not down. So family will rise. This reunion real wise. And I said, Janine, just thank you. Always on point. Always on point. And I just want to tag on to what she said before we close. Is that yesterday, I should say, we're working on having a program on the 21st of September. And the lady, I went to her mother's house Saturday looking for her because she wouldn't answer the phone. I haven't talked with her in years. So she didn't answer the phone because she didn't know the number, but I had her number. Hello. But anyway, went there and had a talk with her. I used to be a musician for one of the churches, the children. And Pat was telling me about her granddaughter. And the granddaughter has got all kinds of awards. She even have a business of her own 501c. And she's only 16 years old. So when I finally talked with her mom, I said, well, Tanya, I said, you're doing amazing things, girl. I tell you, you got your daughter. She's just got her own business. She's a talk show hostess. She dances and she's just doing all the other. She said, well, Mama Joy, you forget. That's what you was doing with us. Y'all kept us busy all the time. Y'all kept us doing this and that other. And I didn't think a thing of it because I had 4 children in there. I was concentrated on mine, but I knew that the only way that I was going to be impactful is if I embraced all the children. And when she said that to me, Janine, you spoke about now. But when we impact upon these children, and Sharon, he has an organization that deals with the education and development of these children. You may not even realize the profundity of what you've done until somebody came back and says, I'm raising my child like you raised us. That's how we become sustainable. Family now, family forever. We got to talk about it. And Sharon, you're right. Healing cannot come until we're able to face the truth. And everybody don't like castor oil. But sometimes that's what we have to do. God bless you. Hope to see you again. Keep walking your authority. That's how we got here. And that's how we can bring this divine authority to this place, which is standing in great need. I like this. We there.
In the heart of America,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Holding us all in the heart of America, our family stands tall. Bonds of love and unity, holding us all. We must nurture these ties.
Let's sing.
Healing the wounds, coming together anew.
All right.
America's family reunion. A pledge for peace, honoring our legacy, divisions to cease. Through fair elections, accepting the choice, rejecting the violence with one united voice. Yeah, oh, the civil war's echoes still linger in time. Unresolved pain, fueling conflicts unkind. But our families teach, love can overcome. Working together, our country's work is done.
Thank you, Sharon, for
America's
being
family
here. Thank you.
reunion. A pledge for peace, honoring our legacy,
Welcome.
divisions to cease. Through fair elections, accepting the choice, rejecting the violence with one united voice. Our greatest strength lies in healing and love, forgiving each other to reap what we sow. The American family, our hearts and our home, united we stand, no longer to roam. America's family reunion, a pledge for peace, honoring our legacy, divisions to cease. Through fair elections, accepting the choice, rejecting the violence with one united voice. With the our future reborn, America's family no longer forlorn.
Wow.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was beautiful.
Love that. Thank
Mhm.
you.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Right, thank
Yes,
you.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Good night. Have a peaceful.
Good night.
See you
Take
next
care.
week.
It was great. Thank you.
Beautiful. Love you, Mama Joy. You're great.
Thank you.